This video will contain spoilers. It has been quite a while since I recorded my last video. Just to sort of elaborate on what I said in my first Purge review, the storage on my skybox is it's nearly capacity. Like the fullest it was 90%. And I've been watching stuff to try and get it down. Initially, it started off with a big show that is cancelled, so I won't name it, because there's still the possibility that I will finish that sometime soon. But after watching like 10 episodes, I figured, you know what? There are other things on here that I could watch that are quicker, that won't take off as much space, but it's still something. So I watched a lot of movies. So the problem is that I deleted the movies immediately. Whereas if I'm watching a show and I finish the show, because I use the thumbnail for that show as a sort of background when I'm doing the final review, I will keep the show on my list until the video is uploaded. Even if I take a week to upload it for whatever reason, I'll still keep the show on my list. But for watching stuff on Sky, I deleted it, and then Sky has a recently deleted section where technically it's still on your Skybox, it's just not taking up as much space. I then immediately hit delete forever on that. So I'm going to have to do all of this from memory. There's also some cinema reviews in this. That's why the video will contain spoilers. One of those cinema films being Dead of Winter. Mixed ratings. I watched it in the Dundonald cinema. Emma Thompson and Judy Greer. Watching the film, I kind of realized that we should have a tier of the different types of independent movies, because, there's a massive difference between A24 movies and, say, DVD movies. My dad, he doesn't he doesn't care to understand the differences and shit. But to him, it's all just either high budget or low budget. And usually he prefers the high budget stuff. But he fucking loves just watching random DVD movies that he finds on Prime and Netflix and all that. And I just think it's kind of stupid. DVD movies are one of the only kinds of movies that I will immediately call shit before I've seen it. Because it is the only way you can go lower is Hallmark movies. That being said, non-Hallmark made-for-TV movies I do consider on a much, much higher level than DVD movies, because there are quite a few good TV movies, like the Librarian trilogy is really it's really good, in my opinion. But moving on to the film, this falls on the, I don't know what you would call it, but it's not an A24. It's not a sort of, it's not as high budget as an A24 film. They've only got 2 celebrities, and just overall the cast only has 9 characters in it. But I feel like the problem with films on this tier is that they can either be they can be whatever they want. But because of that, it also means that they have the possibility of being art house films like The Surfer. I'm not going to elaborate on that. If you see my review of The Surfer, then if you know, you know. But this isn't an art house film. This is just an independent thriller that does its job quite well, although there are some decisions that the film made that I feel like it's not that kind of film, and it shouldn't try to be that kind of film. For example, the fact that Emma Thompson's character sacrifices herself in order to kill Judy Greer, it's unnecessary. She could have, like, there are so many things she could have done to kill Judy Greer without killing herself. And I do get that, you know, it's her husband has only just died and she doesn't really have anything to live for. But that doesn't mean that she should just kill herself. Like, it's the cinematography of it and the way that it was all done was really good. It's just, I feel like the film would have been better if they didn't do that. Also, I just want to be clear about something. Ignore the fact that it says action there. This is not an action film. It has bits and pieces of action in it, but it's not enough to consider itself a full-on action film. I would consider something a full-on action film if it's almost non-stop. And this isn't, because it's just not that kind of film. So just don't set your expectations wrong. I think right. There is sort of an inconsistency with Judy Greer's character because the film doesn't really delve into any sort of backstory for her, which it doesn't need to. It's not that kind of film, but it does bring up an inconsistency because there are times where she's a really good shot and then there's times where she's a ridiculously bad shot. And my interpretation of it is that her character is a amateur hunter, so she has experience, she's just not all that good. Like, she's putting in the practice, she is getting better, but she just isn't at that level yet. And I feel like if you interpret it that way, then her being so inconsistent makes sense, because when she shot Emma Thompson, she had prep time, basically. That's kind of cringe saying it like that, but you know what I mean. Whereas where she's a bad shot, she doesn't have prep time. It's immediate, it's instinctual. And that makes sense in my head if you interpret it that way. Also, I feel like I do like how Emma Thompson is 67 years old this year. And I feel like getting someone that age, and I'm not trying to be ageist or anything like that, because I do hate ageism, but it means that she can't just be some action star. Like, there are some films where you have this normal person who, like, when the action starts, they become a full-on action star, and it doesn't make any sense. Luckily, with Emma Thompson's age, they can't do that, because I hate to break it to her, but, you know, she's been getting to the point where there's some things she can't do. Like, getting on your hands and knees, I imagine, is going to be a bit of a struggle for her. So it kind of works in the film's favour that way. I also was thinking at the start, she shivers quite a bit. Like, you can tell she's very cold, and it makes sense because she's English in real life. But she has a Minnesota accent in the film. Like, it's a sort of Fargo accent. And I feel like, you know, if you're from the area, you're acclimated to the climate. And yeah, you're not going to be, like, able to wear shorts or anything like that, but, you know, I don't think she'd be shivering or anything like that. I'm not saying it's bad acting from Emma. It's just human nature kind of fucking with the consistency of the film. I don't blame Emma or the filmmakers for that. It's just something that I wanted to point out. Overall, it's a pretty good film. Just it's a little amateur in some areas, and you might set your expectations wrong. Please do not do that. The Strangerschapter2, universally negative ratings. I watched it in cinema. Madeline Pitch, Gabriel Basso. What was the show he was in? Like, what am I thinking of? Night Agent. Ah, okay. Right. It's hard to believe that the first film came out so long ago. Like, I'm pretty sure it came out in May last year, but it feels like it was May this year, which is weird. I rewatched the film the night before I went to see it. I rewatched the first one the night before I went to see the second one with Ginger, because I thought, right, excuse me, if he enjoys the film, then we can go see the second one together. And he hated it. And I did kind of realize in the second watch that the film isn't as good as I thought it was, but I still do think it's a pretty fucking solid film. Like, I do think it is a pretty fucking good film. I will die on that hill. But, as for Chapter 2, 4.9 out of 10, are you fucking joking? It is nowhere near that bad. It is like a 5.5 at worst. And yet it's only a 0.6 difference, but it still does... It does make a difference, because a 5 sounds a hell of a lot better than a 4.9. And a 5.5 sounds a hell of a lot better than a 5. Is the film better, worse, or the same as Chapter 1? I'm not sure. Some aspects are better, some aspects are worse. Like, the things that I like, I didn't realize this, like, when I was watching the first film, because I kind of, like, check to see how long is left in the film. I can look at my phone and sort of estimate that way. But you should also keep in mind that I thought that Chapter 1 was on its own. I didn't realize that it was part of a trilogy. And Chapter 1 takes a long time to get started. Like, it is a really, really slow film. Chapter 2 starts immediately, because this is a 4.5-hour film that they just split up into 3 parts. So, if you find the first film boring because it takes so long to get started, maybe you'll enjoy this one, because it gets started basically immediately. And the whole hospital sequence, especially with, like, the long takes and all that, I love long takes. I get some people say that it's kind of pretentious. It doesn't have a reason for existing. I do not care. If something looks cool, something looks cool. And long shots or long takes look cool. I don't like the fact they gave a backstory to I was about to call her Dollface, but that kind of sounds sexist. I don't remember what the name of her mask is, but they revealed that she's Shelly from the diner. So I'm just going to call her Shelly from now on. Even though I feel like the last flashback scene was quite good, overall it shouldn't exist. And it's very, very cringy. I made a post on Instagram where it basically said that her backstory is basically Yandere Simulator. It's like, this boy I like is talking to other girls, so I'm going to kill the other girls. But she's like 10 at this point. And the film starts off giving more statistics like the first film did, and it's talking about how in 2023, like, something like 6,000 people died to just strangers, and it was all random and all that. And yeah, technically, her having, like, a reason for why she's a psychopath, and her going after Maya and all that technically, it still makes it random, but it just kind of takes away from it, and it seems a bit hypocritical. I don't even like the fact that they're giving away who it is. Because, yeah, Shelley's dead, so it doesn't matter anymore. Well, speaking of, I got that spoiled for me, the fact that it's Shelley. But I just feel like the film would have been better if, you go into chapter 3, she's back in the middle of the town, she does not trust a single person. Because almost, really, any of them could be one of the masks. And, speaking of, that whole paranoia, it was done really well in the film. I think I mentioned this during my review of the trailer. But it handles it really well. The only other thing that I think handles it as well is Terminator 2. But, moving on. I can't even think of what else there is to say. The boar thing was just cringy as hell. That. It's stupid. That's all I can really say about it. In fact, I think that might be all I have to say about the film itself. So, overall, I think I prefer this film to the first one, but that could just be recency bias. As for overall, if it's a better film, I genuinely cannot tell. It's so close. A big, bold, beautiful journey. Universally negative ratings. I watched it in cinema. Hamish Linklater, Colin Farrell, and Margot Robbie. I had no plans of watching this film. I seen that it was the only thing that was coming out in cinema the week that it came out, and I thought that was kind of weird. And I looked to see what the film was about, but the plot on the Omniplex website that they give is just it's nothing. And so I thought, right, I'll just not watch it, and then I kind of got curious. So I looked at the trailer and thought, okay, yeah, it seems pretty decent, let's watch it. And the film itself, it's not as bad as the rating said it is, but it's still not all that great. For a romance film, yeah, it's quite unique. Because of the whole sort of fantasy thing about it. But that's really the only thing it's got going for itself. The actual romance itself, it's the same shit you see in all romance films. That's why I don't like romance films, because it's just, unless you do something unique, then it's already been done before, and it's just boring. That's really all I have to say about the film itself, but there is something I want to mention. When I saw that the guy that directed it just goes by one name, he doesn't go by a second name or anything like that, it's just the one name, like Beyonce, I thought, right, who the hell is this guy, and why is he so special that, it's like that, unless he's a rapper before he became a director or something. I'll look see what else he's done. He directed 2 episodes of The Acolyte, and that's really the only thing on his IMDb page that I recognize. Yikes. This is much better than The Acolyte, by the way. Don't mean that. Don't take that as, avoid the film by any means necessary. It's nowhere near that bad. Caught Stealing. Universally positive ratings. I watched it in cinema with Ginger and Dylan. Austin Butler, Zoe Kravitz, Matt Smith, Bad Bunny, Liev Schreiber, Regina King, Vincent D'Onofrio, Tena Cuarta, Defaro Wun Atai. Excuse my mispronunciation. I've been wanting to watch this film for quite a while. I was going to watch it I think it was around the same time that I was watching the Conjuring films, maybe a week or two before that. Um, I was like, the four of us met up to play some darts, and I mentioned how, like, an hour or two after the darts ends, I'm gonna go see Caught Stealing. But then Dylan said, "Oh no, but I want to see Caught Stealing as well because I have a crush on Zoe Kravitz and she gets her ass out in the trailer." So I waited and waited and waited, and we didn't watch it until like the 16th of September. I'm recording this on the 1st of October, by the way. That's how long that I've waited to do this because I'm a cunt like that. I was a little bit skeptical because the only other Darren Aronofsky film I've seen is Black Swan, and I really did not like that film. I get that's a hot take. And the rest of his films, I feel like they're either going to be incredibly boring, like Black Swan was for me, or it's going to be way, way too sad and make me cry, and I don't like watching films that are sad. Like, if a film is sad, then sure, but if the film is, like, outright depressing, like, say, Requiem for a Dream or Manchester by the Sea, I refuse to watch it no matter how good it is. But this seemed like something finally fun that he was going to make for once. And it did look quite interesting in the trailer, so I thought, yeah, sure, let's give it a shot. And is it quite fun, or is it depressing? It's quite fun. I didn't expect it to go the way that it was. Like, I didn't think Zoe Kravitz would die, Matt Smith would die, and really everyone would die. I didn't think it would go that way. And really, you could have ended the film when he crashed the car and killed D'Onofrio and whoever played the other two. But they went on, and I'm so glad they did, because it's one thing to show Matt Smith, like, being the sort of punk with the mohawk and all that, but because that's his whole character, obviously you see that in the trailer and stuff, so it wasn't new when you actually see the film. Seeing Austin Butler with it, though, god damn, was not expecting that. Really, really fucking funny. Especially with the accent. That's all I can really say about the film. As fun as it was, most of, like, the best parts of the film are shown in the trailer. So, is it worth watching? Definitely, but it's just, don't expect, like, anything to be added, if you know what I mean. Yeah, that's all I can really think of to say about the film. Final review, Miracle Workers. I started this show a couple months after the first season aired because the plot was very similar to Good Omens, and I really liked Good Omens, so I thought I'll give this a shot, and I watched it all, and then, oh shit, they're renewed for season 2. Oh, they're going to do like an anthology thing and all that, and I thought, okay, yeah, that sounds pretty good. Season 2 aired, I thought it was pretty good. Then season 3 aired, I thought, it's pretty, well, actually, I don't really remember anything from season 3, if I'm being honest. Although I did watch it like 4 years ago when it aired, so that could be it. But then what I remember, the stuff from season 2, which I watched 5 years ago, and season 1, which I watched 6 years ago. But then I seen all the seasons like around the time that they aired, definitely within the same year. But I think when season 4 aired, and they took a 2-year break for it, because of, I'm going to assume, Corona, but I'm not too sure. When it came back, I didn't watch it until 2025, and I don't know why. I'm assuming that I was busy with something else. But it was 2 years ago, so I really can't remember. Any knows. So, I can't really say anything about seasons 1 and 2, and I definitely can't say anything about season 3. So most of this review is just going to be season 4. And just the show overall, I guess. I'm so glad that the show gave Geraldine Fizz Wanafan, whatever her name is, a career. Because, you know, it was basically as soon as that ended that she got Drive Away Dolls, and then after that she got Thunderbolts. So, you know, it's because of this show that she is as famous as she is, and I'm so fucking glad for that because I really like her. And it gave Karen Stoney a job as well in between Deadpool, because it was a 6-year gap between 2 and 3, and 4 whole seasons of the show had aired in between that. It's also because of the show that I found out he was gay. I thought he was just playing a character, but no, he really is in real life. And then, of course, you have Daniel Radcliffe and Steve Buscemi, who obviously were already fucking like powerhouses before the show, but I'm glad that this show to them just means it's something else I've seen them in, and that's a good thing. And then as for John Bass, to me, he's just the guy from Baywatch that got his dick stuck in a chair. I'm glad that he has a job, or well, had a job, but I don't really have a comment about him. But I do like how every season they kind of take the opportunity to parody certain things, even though by season 4 it kind of got off the rails, because it could have just been a Mad Max parody, but no, they also parodied Terminator, The Matrix. I think there might have been a little bit of Tron, but I'm not too sure. And it's just, like, it's funny, but I was expecting more Mad Max. I'm kind of glad that I watched the Mad Max films before I seen the season, even though you don't have to at all, because it doesn't... Everything you need to know, you will know without even seeing the films, because it's fucking Mad Max. I really haven't said anything in this review, but I've kind of run out of things to say. The show is fucking hilarious. Give it a shot, please. By the way, if you couldn't tell, this is the end of the cinema reviews. I've just got this one more show, and then we're on to the stuff I watched on Sky. Marvel Zombies. Positive rating. Disney Plus original series. I watched it on Disney Plus. Dominic Thorne, Iman Vellani, Florence Pugh, Elizabeth Olsen, Haley Steinfeld, Awkwafina, Simu Liu, Randall Park, Wyatt Russell, David Harbour, Tessa Thompson, Paul Rudd, Carrie Walgreen, F. Murray Abraham. The show, I think it's kind of weird that we got a sequel to a What If episode, and I do get that. I'm pretty sure the What If episode was the only episode that was actually based on something rather than a completely original story. And it did deserve to have a full show rather than just being an episode of What If. But watching the show, they were able to do things that normally Marvel tries to shy away from because they want to keep it sort of 12 age rating. Like, they don't do excessive violence or things like that, but especially with Blade, the violence in the show is way up there, and it's amazing. But by the last episode, I was kind of thinking, if they made this into a live-action movie, this could have been one of, if not the best MCU film since Endgame. Like, I'm not kidding when I say that. This is that good. Aquafina did not need to be in this. Like, I feel like the only reason why she's here is because they decided to show the start of the apocalypse from her eyes and the eyes of Sean. They didn't need to do that. If you want to show the start from the perspective of someone else. Don't care who. Literally anyone else. And then, when it comes to putting Sean into the show in the present day, just have him. You don't need Katie. I get that they recorded the voice lines for this in 2020. Or at least, maybe they did. I know Elizabeth Olsen recorded her lines in 2020. Some of the others, like F. Murray Abraham and Iman Vellani, most likely recorded them much, much later. I'm not too sure. But, point being, they couldn't have known how much people would hate Awkwafina at this point, because she wasn't really that overexposed at the time, because all she really had was Jumanji 2. Like, just one film, as far as I can think. So, they thought it's fine. Like, people aren't going to hate her or anything like that. Same way that people loved Pedro Pascal at the time, but now, obviously, it's a different story. The ending I'm conflicted about, because I like what they did, but it's just, I do want something more concrete, like more absolute. But I'll take what I can get. It's better than an outright shit ending. It's better than taking a character that really should not have the ability to defeat the Scarlet Witch and then have them defeat the Scarlet Witch. I love Miss Marvel. I don't think the hate for the character or Iman Vellani is justified at all, but she is not powerful enough to defeat the Scarlet Witch. So I'm glad they didn't go in that direction. Like, they easily could have. Overall, definitely give it a shot. Mr. Popper's Penguins. Mixed ratings. I watched it on Sky. Jim Carrey, Carla Gugino, Ophelia Lovibond, Angela Lansbury, Clark Gregg, Jeffrey Tambor, Frank Welker, Charlie Chaplin only appears for your archival footage, obviously. This is your average kid's Christmas film, but it's got Jim Carrey in it, so it elevates it a bit. Although, to be clear, I started this film in the start of August, one day when I felt sick. And then I stopped feeling sick, so I stopped watching it and started to play whatever game I was playing at the time. And I didn't get around to it until, I want to say recently, but it kind of wasn't. But it must have been at least like a month and a half gap between my first watch and the second. So my memory will be very, very hazy on this. Although, that being said, that sentence I said where it's just your average Christmas film for kids, but with Jim Carrey in it, that's really, I've said all I can say. So, I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to move on. Muppets from Space. Mixed ratings. I watched it on Sky. Frank Oz, Jeffrey Tambor, F. Murray Abraham, Ray Liotta, Andy McDowell. I don't think Hulk Hogan was in it. There was someone else that, like, they said it was Hollywood Hulk Hogan, but I think it was played by someone else. I don't think it was actually played by Hulk Hogan himself. Anyway, Rob Schneider, Kathy Griffin, David Arquette. The Muppets. I'm not a fan of the Muppets. I don't hate them or anything like that. It's just, I don't think they're that big in the UK. Like, really, the only thing I had growing up was the Muppets movie with Jason Segel and Amy Adams. But it wasn't really something that I loved. Like, I seen it once or twice and that was it. So, I don't have this sort of special connection with the Muppets or anything like that. So why did I watch this film? I don't know why it was recorded, because the Skybox seems to do this thing where if you record a film, it will record something similar. Like, I watched The Strangers Pray at Night only because the Skybox recorded that, because I recorded another horror film. I'm going to assume The First Purge. So, I just thought, fuck it. I don't want to delete it, might as well give it a try. And I did quite like it. Although, I thought that, they would go to space, because the film isn't called Muppets in Space, it's called Muppets from Space, because one of the Muppets, Gonzo, I guess, I'm not too sure, is an alien. He's not really a Muppet. There's really nothing I can say about this film, because I can't say, like, oh, for a Muppet film it's shit, because it's not this film or this film. And because it's a kid's film and all that, I can't talk about, like, politics or philosophy or whatever. That's all I can think of for now. I really want to get home, because I should have been home roughly around now, but I just thought, fuck it. I'll do as many reviews as I can remember to do. So, I'll have to go home and just have a think.